Hi, I'm Crystal. Today I worked on some watercolor cards, and I started these cards without much of a plan. Just wanted to do some watercoloring, and I've been working on my loose watercoloring style. So I started out with some ink smooshing with some distress inks and an oversized brush, and tried to do some loose watercoloring using the color that cosmos are in life, which is a pink ranging to a purple and orange ranging to red. They also come in yellow and white. Of course, I could not leave it alone, so I actually did end up going back in with a smaller brush to actually paint the flowers. So clearly I have not really embraced the loose watercoloring. But when I got done, I really ended up with a purple and orange color combination, which wasn't really my intent when I started out, but kind of goes with the autumn time of year, I think. And then I used my excess ink and the edge of the paper to make a stripe for some die cutting. So I cut out my sentiments, and since I was working on mixed media paper, which is kind of lightweight, I took some scrap paper and some these die cut sentiments and stacked them up just so they'd be a little easier to handle. So after I had done that, stacked up all the sentiments to give them more heft, I did a little partial embossing. I've really been into this lately, and just for fun I got out all of my colored embossing powder, which is not much. I have two. So this is a crackling campfire embossing glaze, which is a reddish orange, and then this is a chunky purple glitter embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. Boy, if this is not the application for this, I don't know. So this is the first time I've used this oddball embossing powder. So I've got the sentiments on a face-up strip of tape in a foil-lined box, and this is a really great way to heat emboss these small words or any other small die cut. You don't burn your fingers, and the foil reflects the heat, so it really works well. And you can keep using that same strip of tape. You can see it's got a bunch of embossing powder on it. So now all these sentiments are partially embossed, and I'm going to go ahead and do some die cutting. I'm really going to lean into that purple and orange color combination, and I just got out an assortment of different layered frame dies and some paper, and some of that orange is too orange. I don't like that combination. So I'm going to tone that down a little bit by doing some ink blending on colored cardstock. And I don't know if you've ever tried this, but boy, ink blending on colored cardstock is fast because the colored cardstock is doing a bunch of the work. This isn't any particularly special kind of cardstock either. It's probably Stampin' Up! Cardstock. That's mostly what I have for colored cardstock, which is a very nice quality of cardstock, but it's not, you know, super smooth or super heavy or any of those other things. So the ink blending was very, very quick. I do have this sped up, obviously, in editing, but I think in real life these three pieces took about 3 minutes. So very, very speedy. Now that I've got the color toned down just a little bit, we can see how these combinations work with a not quite as orange cardstock. So taking a look at this, it's better, but the sentiments don't really stand out enough. And I mangled one of them. So I tried a vellum shadow, not enough. Then I fiddled with the sentiments a little bit more, and then I tried everything again, and the backgrounds aren't great. So a little bit of embossing, and then here are the finished cards. So you can see that I went back on those sentiments and I put gold embossing powder on the top of the orange ones, but the purple sparkle embossing powder really turned out pretty well, I think. And I do like the 3D embossing folder on those plain backgrounds on these card fronts. So for starting out with not much of a plan, I think it turned out really pretty well. So 6 cards from my 4 stamped panels, one of which had a corner that didn't quite stamp. And I'm really pretty happy with how today's crafting turned out. So I hope that gave you some ideas for your crafting, and I thank you for joining me today.